We got the NFL. We got college football. We always got the NBA to talk about. And, of course, on Thursdays, Dan Orlovsky tries to invade the proceedings. You know what I'm saying? Ty looks a little decent today. Collar's nice and all of that other stuff. See, he got a little haircut. Took the Elvis hairdo down just a touch. Now he's waving it back. Boy, I tell you, you created a prima donna here on first take. Dan Orlovsky's in the house. Dan Orlovsky's in the house. Molly. You don't have on your pajamas today. Congratulations.
Oh,
Congratulations.
my goodness.
First takes in the house. Let's go.
He said pajamas.
Hater!
We have guys that are way too good for us to be losing games like this. We just got to get it right.
Man, you have to have a will and a want. You have the willing to risk everything. You have to want to win, want to fight each and every play.
When you find a way to win these adverse games, that's when you have those special teams, and I'm excited for the rest of the season.
Mac Jones fires to the end zone. Stephon Diggs, touchdown Buffalo. Mahomes looking for the end zone. Pass caught. Touchdown San Francisco.
Well, you already took a shot at me, so I'm not even talking to you. Hi, Dan. Good morning. Good to see you. I like this whole suit. Looking very nice.
Thank you. I obviously had to pick up the slack for somebody this morning, so
pick up the slack.
Yeah,
What's wrong
thank
with
you
me?
for carrying us.
Dan, let me tell you something right now. You talk a lot of smack. You see, first of all, your wife helps you because we know the wife is who take care of you. That's why you dress the way you dress.
I'm unapologetic about that.
And you got the whole beautiful family there and all of that stuff.
I will
remind you, not only do I look good, I'm in my 50s and I look this way. Come see me when you get to that point, my brother. You always look good, so forget you.
Okay, I was going to say humility never goes out of style, but you were kind of nice there.
You got a Hanes t-shirt on underneath. I'm good.
You know what? It works.
No, it's Fruit of the Loom.
Hanes is a good thing. Or Fruit of the Looms. I like both.
That's fair. That's fair.
Good product. The 3-pack at Walmart.
That's right. You're damn right. You're damn right.
I love those men's T-shirts with the V-necks and the tube socks.
That's right.
Yeah, all right, let's go. We got a good one tonight, gentlemen. Cowboys go to New Orleans to face the Saints. So, Dallas will be without their coach as Mike McCarthy entered the NFL's COVID-19 protocol Monday. Defensive coordinator Dan Quinn will serve as the team's interim coach. The Cowboys have lost 3 of their last 4 after starting the season 6-1, and they're getting healthier on both sides of the ball. Wide receivers Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb both expected to return, and on defense, DeMarcus Lawrence is expected back for the first time since week 1. Oh, and Stephen A. Taysom Hill will be earning that new paycheck. Hill will start tonight instead of Trevor Siemian. Dan, you're up first. Does Dak need to step up the most tonight for Dallas?
Absolutely. Dak Prescott is the most important person tonight, and he needs to step up the most. This is a team, Molly, that you said lost 3 out of the last 4 games. And in those 4 games, all right, so 2 of those games, Dak Prescott has thrown for less than 5 yards per attempt. He has not played well in about a month. And if you look at the team that he's playing against, the New Orleans Saints, and that defense, in their last month, first of all, Buffalo scored 31 on them last week, and Josh Allen threw for 4 touchdowns. 2 weeks ago, Philly scored 40 on them. The Philadelphia Eagles put a 40-burger on the Saints defense. And Tom Brady threw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. Matt Ryan threw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. Dak Prescott's got to ball out tonight. Dak Prescott, even if you go back and watch that Raiders tape, he didn't play that great against the Raiders. That wasn't an incredible performance. He needs to go play really, really good football. They paid him all that money, and I know people have been out. I know CeeDee's been out, and I know Amari's been out, and I think the health on the perimeter does matter. But again, this goes back to when you choose to pay that quarterback that much money, I need you to step up when I need you to step up. I need you to go play well when a receiver's out or when a tackle is out. And that hasn't happened over 3 of the last 4 weeks. In the last 3 games or last 4 games, Dak's got 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That's not good enough. So tonight, I want to see Dak Prescott, the same guy that I saw really the first 8 games of the season, the same guy that I saw week 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when I was like, my goodness, that's the best game I've ever seen Dak Prescott play. No matter what happens tonight with the Saints offense and Taysom Hill and the Cowboys defense and Amari Cooper coming back, whatever, I need to see Dak Prescott go play like the $140+ million quarterback that the Cowboys paid him to go be.
That is an asinine take. You should be ashamed of yourself for giving that take. You didn't see the Dallas Cowboy receivers dropping passes all of these last several weeks? You didn't see how many passes did you count they dropped? I recall you
like
bringing
five.
up. Don't give me that. 5 was more than 5. Okay, whether it was Schultz, whether it was CeeDee Lamb when he was out there, the list went Wilson. The list went on and on.
He's the only quarterback that deals with drop passes.
Zip it. Did I listen to you speak? Did I listen to you speak? I thought I listened to you speak. Didn't I do that? Now it's my turn. We saw numerous receivers dropping passes from Dak Prescott. First of all, even though, like you said, it was more than a month ago, he did have a good game against New England. Didn't play against Minnesota because obviously he got injured that game. When they dropped 43, he didn't play a good game that game. When they scored 33 last week, he was god awful. No. Now obviously we have a situation where he could play better in a couple of those games. Clearly, it was a bad performance against the Denver Broncos. There is no doubt about that. We get all of that. They lost to the Raiders 36-33, but you still could have done better. But we pointed to the drop passes. And as far as I'm concerned, here's my whole point. Has Dak Prescott been awful? No. Could he be better? Yes. But to me, the focus should be on Amari Cooper. Who the hell missed the game because he came down with COVID? Who the hell is the dude that Jerry Jones said it ain't about me, it's about we? Who's the dude that elected not to be vaccinated, knowing that could lead you to be more susceptible to catching the Rona that ultimately would lead you to being out of these games? Who's the guy that signed for $100 million and only got 544 yards receiving this year? I think it's 544. I'm sorry, it's 583 on 44 receptions. Who's that dude? That would be Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper at no time this year. At no time, and we all know he can ball. We all know he's no scrub. But at no time this year did any of us look at Amari Cooper and say, excuse me, one of the top receivers in the National Football League. That's Amari Cooper. We haven't said that about him because we haven't seen that kind of performance from him. We've seen a few great plays at a time, but we haven't seen an overall great performance from him this season. I understand that Dak Prescott's getting the money. I understand that you're the quarterback of America's team. You're the face of the franchise. I understand that disgusting, nauseated fan base that makes me want to throw up every time I see one of them sorry Cowboy fans. I understand the expectations that have been thrown on Dak Prescott. I've even started off the season talking about how there's immense pressure on him. But I can't ignore the injuries. I can't ignore the fact that Ezekiel Elliott has been compromised. The offensive line, what hasn't been healthy. Receivers are dropping passes or missing games or both. And I got a receiver in Amari Cooper tonight on Thursday Night Football that's coming back because you know what? You got exposed to the Rona. And as a result of it, because you ain't vaccinated, you had to have the owner going on radio talking about it ain't about me, it's about we. Again, Amari Cooper can't do anything without Dak throwing him the football because just like a quarterback can't throw it to himself, a receiver got to catch the ball after the quarterback throws it to him. So Dak Prescott obviously has got to get it done. But when I talk about an individual that I'm looking in terms of placing the onus on his shoulders to step up and remind somebody he's worthy of his money, I'm looking at Amari Cooper because Dak Prescott, until a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about him as an MVP candidate.
Exactly.
That's my point.
So until a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Dak Prescott as an MVP, and they've lost 3 out of 4. So it's time to go play like an MVP. It's so funny to hear you sit here and rattle off whether you phrase them as reasons or excuses why Dak Prescott might not be playing as well, but you don't do that for other quarterbacks, Stephen A. You don't give other quarterbacks reasons why. Yes, you're sitting here going,
accusing me of doing that?
Yes,
What?
I'm not accusing you. I'm telling you that you're doing it. And here's the thing. Amari Cooper tonight could go for 8 catches for 110 yards, and they could still lose the game. He could still show up and play.
That's not the point.
The question is, do the Cowboys need Dak Prescott to step up the most? He needs to play better.
Dak Prescott could throw for 500 yards, and they can still find an excuse to lose. These are the Cowboys we're talking about. What I'm saying to you is this, how I'm answering the question in terms of the Cowboys needing Dak to step up. I got you on that. What I'm saying is the person they need to step up the most, to me, who the eye of the storm should be on, is Amari Cooper.
They ain't paying Amari Cooper. They didn't pay Amari Cooper.
Give him $100 million.
They didn't pay Amari Cooper $100 million to win games. They paid Amari Cooper that money to help them win games. They paid Dak Prescott $140 million for the bottom line to go be the reason they win football games.
All right, let's leave it there. Dallas is favored by 5.5. And Dan, to your point, Stephen A., you don't make excuses for Lamar Jackson, and that's where I want to go next. Action Jackson and the Ravens may be sitting pretty at 8-3 at top of the crowded AFC North, but it hasn't been pretty or easy. Many of these games coming down to the final possession. Last week, certainly too close for comfort. Jackson pulling off the win despite throwing 4 picks. But Lamar sees the blessing in the suffering.
I let it fester. I need to feel it. I need to feel that pain. Now, that's pain right there, no excuses. Like that was just a bad performance. 4 interceptions. Hope that never, ever happen again. Not ever. Bad passes, inaccurate, underthrown passes. That's all I see now. Bad reads. I look like a rookie.
All I have to say is that man says all the right things.
Yeah,
it is so hard to not root for Lamar Jackson. The Ravens play your Steelers Sunday, Stephen A. Are Lamar's Ravens legit AFC threats, Dan?
No. This is a good team that's been, their wins have covered a lot of their flaws. I think they're kind of hanging on by the skin of their teeth, so to speak. You talked about all those close margins, Molly. They got 6 wins by 1 possession differential. That's the most in the NFL. Their point differential is plus 23. They're 8-3, and their point differential is plus 23. That's unheard of in the NFL. And I think because Lamar's performance, we've kind of forgotten the decimation of injury that this kind of football team has had to deal with. They've had 14 different offensive line combinations. 14. Again, you are not supposed to be sitting at 8-3 when you have to deal with that. Their tailbacks average 3.9 yards per carry. 3.9 yards per carry for the Baltimore Ravens tailbacks. Again, I just don't think they're going to survive. I think that we've seen the best version of them, so to speak. They are so dependent on Lamar Jackson playing at such a remarkable, kind of indescribable level. I don't trust them. I trust the Patriots significantly more as a threat. I trust the Colts more as a threat. I trust the Chiefs more as a threat. I trust the Bengals more as a threat. I think this team's dealing with way too many injuries.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because here's the deal. I disagree with you because, number one, I think there could be more than one threat. Number two, and more importantly, I think that by default they're a threat because we can't definitively say anything about the AFC. Kansas City looked like they were wet in the bed until their defense finally acted like they knew what they were doing, and they appeared to be relatively decent, and as a result, they're in first place in the AFC West. The Indianapolis Colts are a Carson Wentz mistake from being home in the very first playoff round. We all know this. We all know. Listen. The man can play. I'm not like some other people who called the end of his career and all of this other stuff. He went from Philadelphia to Indy, and I said, excuse me, I haven't given up on Carson Wentz. I know the brother can play. It's just that some of the boneheaded mistakes that he has made are inexplicable. They're undeniable, and we can't sit up here and act like they are. And so it is what it is. And so when you look at it from that perspective, and then you take into account the Bengals, well, guess what? They just getting here. They're just getting here. We'll see what they do, and we'll see how consistent they be. We look at the New England Patriots. As great as they've been, and their defense is real, and we know the exceptional coaching that they're achieving, and we understand who Mac Jones is because he's a national champion, a reigning national champion, by the way, who's the rookie quarterback for the New England Patriots. He is still a rookie. And so we combine all of that with the mercurial skills of a Lamar Jackson. To me, the only way you can say the Ravens are not a legitimate threat is if you can definitively say, you know what, they ain't winning no damn playoff game. They going home. They don't even belong in the playoffs. And the second they get there, they're going home. And nobody would say that about a team quarterbacked by Lamar Jackson because of the electrifying skills that he has. Now, he has something to prove in the postseason as well, which is something I never hesitate to call him out on. He's got 1 playoff victory. He's lost 3 games. We understand that he's looked horrific by and large in postseason performances, even though he had a pretty good one against Tennessee last year. But in the end, what it comes down to is that when you look at the AFC, there's no definitive powerhouse to fear. Everybody, it's up for grabs. And when we look at the NFC and we look at Tampa and we look at Green Bay, okay, and to a lesser degree, Arizona, and of course we can't ignore the Cowboys and Arizona, we look at teams that we say, potential Super Bowl champions. When we look at the AFC, we're literally scratching our heads wondering who the hell is coming out of the AFC. Because even with the great Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, their offense hasn't looked the way we're accustomed to seeing them look over the previous 2 seasons. And we're learning more about the other teams as we go along. Even with Buffalo, we'll see what they're made of come Monday Night Football. Bills Mafia, Bills Nation, the Buffalo Bills. I can't wait for this Monday night because we're going to find out about Josh Allen. And I don't care about, Davius being out, with his injury. I understand that's a big deal. Please don't get me wrong. But I'm just talking about, it's how you play and how you go down if you're going to go down. We understand who the Patriots are. We understand what the Bills were aiming for. You got all of these pieces, okay? And you going to just let a rookie quarterback come in and guide the New England Patriots to first place in their division after you've been, the fair weather stepchild for 2 decades? Oh, we're going to find out about the Buffalo Bills. So that's all I'm saying. A lot of the AFC is up for grabs right now.
I'm with you on that, Stephen A., but I think what you're missing is, if we go back to last year's Super Bowl, what's really the fundamental reason why the Chiefs lost that game?
Offensive line and a toe injury to Patrick Mahomes. Well, let me say this.
Because the injuries.
Let me say this. That's why they lost. How they lost. We don't know definitively if they still would have ended up losing anyway.
Sure. But like we can sit here and say the injuries on their offensive line had a massive part to do with why. And that's where, if we're talking about the teams in the AFC that we think are really good, we could put the Ravens in that conversation with the Patriots, with the Bills, with the Colts, with the Chiefs, with the Bengals. But the difference between the Ravens and every one of those other teams is the injuries. And at the end of the day, in the NFL, we often can look in December and January and go, okay, who's still playing good? It's the team that has their guys. And Baltimore, again, I think is just the winning, sitting at 8-3 has covered up their shit. I'll be honest with you. If like I said, they got 6 wins by single points in 1 possession games. If they were 3-3 in those games, they would be sitting at 5-6. And I would sit here going, they're 5-6 because of the injuries, not because Lamar hasn't played well enough. And I just believe, because that's what the NFL has shown us for 4 decades, that the healthy teams are the ones that win down the stretch. And the Ravens just aren't healthy.
They're not healthy, but at the end of the day, they're 8-3. And they've got to win over the Indianapolis Colts. And they've beaten the Cleveland Browns and a few other teams. Not that Cleveland is much this year. But in the end, what I'm talking about is the mercurial skills of a Lamar Jackson on any given Sunday in a postseason. That's a terrifying threat to go against.
To be clear, you're saying the Ravens are a threat, not the threat.
Correct.
Yes, because it's still wide open.
Yes.
Okay, so Dan, everyone thinks of you as, an NFL analyst extraordinaire, but you also moonlight on weekends calling college football games. So let's go to college now. Big news there. Notre Dame may have their new head man, Marcus Freeman, leading candidate for the highly coveted position. No deal has been finalized and several steps remain before the current Irish defensive coordinator can be formally announced as the new head coach. The school did announce Wednesday that their offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, will remain in the role for the 2022 season. Meanwhile, yesterday, Notre Dame of the LSU Tigers, they are 2 years removed from a national title. Kelly received $95 million in a decade-long deal. Congrats to him. Here's the man of the hour.
There was no plan in place as I entered the 2021 season that I was, looking for another opportunity. I had a great football team that we were developing, but when you get an opportunity to talk to Scott Woodward and he presents a clear vision of the plan here and the opportunity, it was an exciting vision for me to look at. And as I got a chance to, speak to more people about this opportunity, I just felt it was something that I had to take on.
I find this question very interesting because it's different cultures, different demographics. Stephen A., what's the more premier job? Is it Notre Dame or LSU?
To me, it's LSU by a mile. And I'll explain to you in a minute what I mean by that. I want to say this, and more importantly, and Dan, feel free to comment about this once your turn rolls around. I'm very proud that Brian Kelly left Notre Dame to go to LSU. I have no issue with it. I think Lincoln Riley going to USC is a phenomenal thing for college football. But I also want this to be heard. You see how these coaches just get to get up and leave for a better opportunity? Yeah. I don't want to hear anything about restricting kids' movement and kids' abilities to do the same. I know they got the transfer portal and all of that stuff now, but I'm just saying, for the record, one of the things that folks lamented for decades when it came to college sports is the ability that coaches and administrators had to do what they do, but the kids were restricted from doing so. This is why it's so important that we pay attention to how kids are treated on a collegiate level, because they should have that opportunity to do the same thing the adults have an opportunity to do as well. Now, having said that, let me say this. Again, LSU by a mile. Notre Dame is a fantastic institution. It's a big-time job, national television contract, NBC. I get all of that. I understand all of that. They're going to make the college football playoffs. They've got a chance to do that. But when we talking national championships, you understand what I'm saying? They ain't in LSU's class. They don't have an opportunity, as far as I'm concerned, to get the number of quality players that an LSU has a chance to get, that the Alabamas have a chance to get, that the Georgias have a chance to get. Talk about SEC, man. Talk about SEC. You understand what I'm saying? I can't sneeze at that. This is LSU we talking about here. Now, I don't need Swagoo or Ryan Clark or anybody else to tell me about LSU and how much of a big-time job that is and the pool of talent that they have in that area, which, by the way, Brian Kelly has recruited in that area, by the way. And, well, from what I understand, I don't pay as much attention to it as the Paul Feinbaums and Heather Diniches and everybody else. I get all of that. But what I'm saying to you, paying attention to it, you think about LSU, Joe Burrow just delivered them a national championship 3 years ago. You look at what comes to the table in terms of the talent that they've had. Nick Saban once coached there. I mean, you got Ed Orgeron won a national title there, for crying out loud. The list goes on and on. And they fired him because he needs to go. It's time to go, man. Time to go. But the point is that it's LSU. It's the SEC. It's that part of the country where, I mean, the talent pool there, and then the opportunity to be in the SEC, and Brian Kelly, 60 years old, willing to go up against Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and those boys. I got mad love and respect for the decision. He could have took the easy way out. Notre Dame is a damn good job. A damn good job. And I'm hoping my brother Marcus Freeman gets that. That's a big-time conversation that we'll have if indeed the reports are true and he ends up getting that job. But as big of a job as Notre Dame is, and it ain't a small job, I know that, Dan. It ain't LSU, bro. It ain't LSU.
You're right. LSU is a great job. Notre Dame is galaxies better as a job.
No way.
Stephen A., you are out of it. Is Notre Dame.
Nope.
It's Notre Dame. Going to coach in Notre Dame is the Yankees. It's the Red Sox. It's the Dodgers. It's the Lakers. It's the Celtics. It's Madison Square Garden. I've watched you on your show. Talk about the Knicks and Madison Square Garden. And it's still the Knicks and Madison Square Garden. It is Notre Dame. They are making movies about LSU. All right? They're making movies about Notre Dame.
How old were those movies? How old were those movies?
Let me ask you this question. Because I'm gonna totally nullify your argument here. Okay. You're a young man in California, right? You're in California. You go play at Mater Dei High School, one of the best in the area, and you get an offer from LSU or USC. How real is that offer for LSU for you?
Compared to California?
And you're getting an offer from LSU or in USC?
Well,
how real is that offer for you?
It's very real. It's SEC. When you talk about SEC, it's one of the premier programs in SEC.
Nah, Stephen A.
Why
You're
not?
a Cali kid. You're a Cali kid, and you're getting an offer from Lincoln Riley at USC and Brian Kelly at LSU. You're like, oh, cool. No.
You're lying. You're lying. You know why you're lying? You know why? Because you know the weather has a lot to do with that.
Okay, now let me ask you this. You're that same kid from California. You're the same kid from California, and you get that offer from USC, and now Notre Dame comes calling. That offer from Notre Dame is going to be much more relevant to you, because that's the thing. Notre Dame hits all corners. That Notre Dame offer matters way more across the country than an LSU offer. And by the way, Stephen A., you're talking about getting the opportunity to play against Nick Saban and Kirby Smart like that's a cool thing. It's
if
not.
You're a winner, If you're a winner, if you're striving to be a winner,
You got to see. You got to see Nick every year.
You
got to see Nick every year. You got to see Jimbo Fisher every year.
Scared?
You got to see Lane Kiffin every. No,
that's the point.
It makes the path harder. It makes the path harder. That's the reality. Stephen A. LSU's been in the college football playoff one time with a historically great team. That coach is gone. He is gone already. So what's the better job? The place that can go into any living room in America and say, we are Notre Dame. We are Notre Dame, who, by the way, again, the narrative about Notre Dame is, well, they kind of hang on their past. Notre Dame's a top 5 program for the last 5 years. Okay? This is
you know what? That is a deceitful statistic. When the 11 national championships, when's the last time Notre Dame won a national championship?
Long time ago.
Thank you very much. They need to stop. Get that off the board. Get it off the board right now. You don't give a damn about the 11th championship.
How about the bottom stat?
When it's been
How about
forever.
the bottom statistic?
Let me ask you this question. Let me just read Dan Orlovsky.
It's Notre Dame.
Listen, stay with me. Because if I'm a big-time athlete, right? If I'm a big-time athlete, and I aspire to go pro one day, right? We talk about Notre Dame, right? Because it's not just where you play, it's who they play against. All of those things we pay attention to, right? So you got the independents, you on national television, and Rick, all right, that's fair enough. That's visibility, all right, that's got you there. Let me read you who their competition was. Just work with me here for a second. They're 11-1 this year. They're 11-1, right? Yeah. This is Notre Dame's schedule this year. Florida State, Toledo, Purdue, Wisconsin, Cincinnati. All right, Cincinnati's here. Lost to Cincinnati. Lost against Cincinnati.
All those but Toledo are real competition.
Right. You know, you say Toledo, Florida State. Really? Florida State? Yeah. Really? Florida State. I'm sorry.
Florida State good.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Excuse me. Really? That's how y'all feel about Florida State?
Yeah.
Don't move me. Don't move me anymore.
Keep reading them. I want to hear the rest.
Virginia Tech, USC, North Carolina, Navy, Virginia, Georgia Tech, Stanford. I'm just saying, when you talk about that compared to the SEC, really?
Listen, I'm
really? Pac-12, Big 12. I mean, come on, man.
The question isn't, is the SEC or independent schedule better?
I'm just saying to you that Notre Dame is big of a job. It's a big job. I'm not trying to knock them, but it ain't LSU. Notre Dame is not what it used to be in that regard. It's not what it used to be.
I don't want to hear you. I don't want to be sitting at home with my wife and my kids listening to Stephen A. say it's the New York Knicks or it's Madison Square Garden. I don't want to hear that anymore. Because that's what Notre Dame is. No, you can't say that anymore.
No. You can hear that from me. I'm a fan starving for a championship. I don't walk around talking about the New York Knicks like they're champions, bro. I don't bring them in the championship equation. I'm proud they're relevant. I'm crawling before I walk. I'm reasonable with my expectations about the New York Knicks. When I say we here, I ain't trying to sit up there and say we won the championship. I'm saying we relevant again for the first time because we've been irrelevant. I am the guy that went on national television as a Knicks fan years ago and said the only thing recognizable about Madison Square Garden are the rats running around in Penn Station. I said that. So don't tell me that, as a Knicks fan and I ignore it. No, I call it like I see it.
But where'd
Notre
you pick
Dame
them
ain't what
to
it used to
finish this
be.
year?
Excuse me?
Where'd you pick the Knicks to finish this year? That
second
bet
round.
with Jay Williams.
Get out of the first round. Get out of the first round.
By the way, Stephen A.
I didn't pick them to win a title.
What
y'all talking about?
By the way, Stephen A., you can talk about Notre Dame's schedule in the SEC. They got a kid at safety who's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft next year. They got a first-round tight end. They got a top 2 round. So what was the point of bringing up the schedule?
Did I say they don't have a chance?
What was the point of bringing up the schedule?
My point to you is that they're not going to get. Brian Kelly left because he knows the talent that he's going to produce at LSU could potentially deliver him a national championship. He knew that wasn't going to happen at Notre Dame.
You know what? Hold up. This is what I feel like we're arguing right now. Recency versus history.
Yes.
That's really because I know how storied Notre Dame is, the fighting. I get what you're saying, Dan, but Stephen A. saying, like, right now at this moment, you want to win this year. So it's almost like we're debating two different things.
But I think and your point is valid, but I would say this. In the last 5 years, Notre Dame has been a better program over that 5-year span than LSU has. LSU had a national championship with one of the greatest teams ever.
Yeah.
Then they fired their coach. Notre Dame, yes, historically has those national championships. But I'm just like, this is a top 5 team, program-wise and team. They haven't won a national championship.
We'll have more on this later.
Let me encapsulate it with this. Notre Dame, their program is about being competitive, being in the national spotlight, and getting to the playoffs. Brian Kelly left because Brian Kelly, in the twilight of his career, wants a legitimate shot at the national title. And he ain't getting it staying at Notre Dame. Period.
All right.
He's gonna have to go,
guys. We'll have
and
more
he
on
got to
this
go
later.
through Nick Saban,
right.
Jimbo Fisher, Lane Kiffin,
Gentlemen,
and Kirby Smart.
gentlemen, we have to get into commercial break. We will revisit this later. Coming up on
Again for On This Day in Smithsbury.
I'll tell you the ultimate criticism to give George Baker Mayfield. This man has more commercials than wins. Do you know with Progressive alone, he has 6 different commercials? And then you add a couple of more to Heisman and something else. He's got about 8 different commercials. You see him everywhere. But somehow, some way, he's got more commercials than wins.
This has been another installment of On This Day in Smithsbury. Now, back to you, First Take.
Well, thank you. On this day in Smithsbury, I won't even try to do the accent. 2 years ago today, you just heard it, Stephen A. proclaimed for the first time that Baker Mayfield has more commercials than wins this season. Not much better. As Cleveland is 6-6, bottom of their division, quarterback has been under the microscope of late as he looks for a new long-term contract. He's certainly struggled at times dealing with a myriad of injuries, but to be fair, since week 2, he's been battling a torn labrum to his left non-throwing shoulder. But even if the dog pound is losing hope in their signal caller, GM Andrew Berry is not. Andrew, what do you expect from Baker?
The reality is, like, he's worked through injuries no different than other players on our roster. But I know he expects of himself, and we expect him whenever he's on the field to perform at a capable level, at a winning level. And we expect him to play his best football down the stretch here after the bye.
All right. So Baker ranks 26, Dan, I want you to hear this, in QBR with a rating of 37.9, well below where he finished in 2020 at 66.5. Dan, do you believe Baker can be a franchise quarterback? And when I say franchise quarterback, I mean he could take his team to a Super Bowl.
I do. I don't necessarily believe in the phrase franchise quarterbacks. I believe in tiers of quarterbacks. I've said them before. You're either a quarterback your team wins because of, you're a quarterback your team wins with, you're a quarterback your team wins in spite of, or you're a quarterback that your team loses because of. I think Baker is a quarterback that you can win a Super Bowl with. I know that this season hasn't kind of evidenced that, but I would say to this. Number one, the injuries have to be a part of the conversation. A quarterback has a torn labrum in his left shoulder. He's also got foot, back, everything beat up injuries. Number two, there's only been really 1 year in Baker's career that he's been healthy with competency around him. There's been a lot of distractions this season. There's been a lot of disappointment, and the injuries have played its part. His rookie year, then his second year with Freddie Kitchens. Last year's the only year that he was healthy and there was competency around him, and you watched him lead his team to the playoffs and get a playoff win. So I think he could be that quarterback that they win with. I do not listen. There's about a handful of guys in the NFL that are quarterbacks you win because of. That more often than not, they are going to cover up whatever fundamental kind of franchise flaw that you have or injuries. And then there's 8 to 10 guys that are going to play really good football dependent upon who their play caller is and how healthy they are and how healthy the offensive line and pieces are around them. I think Baker can be in that 8 to 10 grouping. I think that's just the reality. Listen, I'll go back to last week's game, Molly, and I said this on Monday. The Browns offensively are a mess. And if you think Baker's at the top of that, you are not watching the same game as I am. Their offensive line did not play well. Their right tackle got hurt. Their left tackle played the worst game of his career as a Brown. Nobody is getting open on offense. There's no rhythm to it. So I ain't saying Baker's playing great. What I'm saying is Baker has proven that he could be a guy that you win a lot of games with.
sometimes it's just bad because, y'all put me in a position, man, where I look so mean, and it's just not fair. I don't mind. I don't mind. I mean, listen. They call me the Grinch. They call me a lot of different things. It's all right.
I got big shoulders. I'm not scared of you being mean.
I'm a very happy Grinch. I tell you that much. I'm good. Let me say this to y'all, man. You know good and damn well Baker Mayfield ain't no damn Super Bowl quarterback. Why don't you stop that nonsense? You know he ain't leading no team to no Super Bowl, Dan Orlovsky. You know that. I'm going to be calm. I'm not going to raise my voice. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be very, very cool. Okay. He's not that dude. He's not that dude. When I pointed out that he had more progressive commercials than wins, I was factually correct.
This argument.
I was factually correct. When he changed up and he won games, I gave him credit for it. What I'm saying to you is this. Can he be a starting quarterback in this league? Yes. Can a team win with Baker Mayfield as your starting quarterback? Okay. Can he be the reason, the thing that leads you to a Super Bowl championship? Hell no. That ain't him. Now, I understand your point. Left tackle, right tackle. We get all that. Barry, left tackle injury, right tackle was awful. I get all of that. I understand.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Give me a quarterback, a better than average quarterback, and tell them you got Kareem Hunt. You got Nick Chubb. You got Njoku, who, by the way, needed to make that play on his own last week to get the first down. To get the first down on his own. I understand that. There are certain plays. But what I'm saying is this. Here's the part that I have a problem with, because I know that you can, seriously, I'm being serious, Dan. You could be on the board and you can highlight and dissect some of the things that go wrong, and I would never dispute that because you're excellent at that stuff. I just think you're a master at leaving certain things out. For example, they bring up that Baker Mayfield has had three coaches since he's been playing in the NFL. Well, whose fault was that? You had Hugh Jackson. Obviously, we ain't gonna brag about his record. You insisted on Freddie Kitchens, and management stupidly went with your rookie novice self and your opinion at the time, being Baker Mayfield. They should have ignored his behind and brought in, whether it's Kevin Stefanski or somebody else earlier. There should have never been a Freddie Kitchens experiment. Then you get, obviously, Kevin Stefanski, who did a hell of a job last year. This year, not so much, albeit due to injuries, and injuries legitimately to Baker Mayfield. We talk about Odell Beckham Jr. being gone. We lamented the relationship that existed between Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield on the field. Baker Mayfield harbors no responsibility for that. We see receivers not being open. We didn't always say that about them. They were open before when Baker Mayfield was completing. What was it here? 59% of his passes his second year, 62% of his passes last year, 62% now. We weren't saying that then. Anything that you can point to that is lacking with the Cleveland Browns, even with the offensive line, have we not lamented at times how Baker Mayfield held on to the ball a little bit too long? How, he was sitting there and trying to make plays and ultimately was making boneheaded plays from time to time, or the requisite throws that you see a lot of guys with rifle arms being capable of making. He wasn't that guy capable of making. I'm simply saying he's not a scrub. He's a former #1 overall pick who, as far as I'm concerned, can play. He's got a lot of guts. I love listening to him in press conference. I think his honesty and candor should be applauded. I think the way he handled the Odell Beckham Jr. situation when Odell Beckham Jr.'s father put that video out about him, I thought he was completely in the right. I respect the hell out of Baker Mayfield. He's not a scrub. Right. But at the end of the day, when you look at teams and you say to a team, all of that talent surrounding these guys, I've said this before. What do you look at when you look at the Cleveland Browns? It comes back to Baker Mayfield. All of those questions that you throw out there, as legitimate as they are, because they are legitimate, it still brings us back to Baker Mayfield. Okay. He's not that guy when you're talking about competing for a Super Bowl. Not yet anyway. He's not that guy.
Yeah, three things, Stephen A. My job is not to tell people what's happening. My job is to tell people why and how things are happening.
I agree.
So I'm always going to point to reasons why quarterbacks aren't playing well or they are playing well and why that is happening outside of strictly just the quarterback. Okay. That's kind of one of the things I got into media for. There's a difference between Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback ever and everybody else stinks.
That's right.
My second thing would be this. In relation to, did you think 2 years ago that Jimmy Garoppolo was good enough to lead the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl? You did not. Okay. So 3 years ago, did you think that Jared Goff was good enough to lead the Rams to a Super Bowl?
Hell no.
So 5 years ago, did you think that Nick Foles was good enough to lead the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl?
Well, the way he was playing in the postseason, yeah.
But when Carson Wentz went down,
the way he was playing, based on his work that we witnessed, yeah, because even the work leading up to Super Bowl appearances on the part of Goff, all right, and who else did you mention a couple of years ago?
Jimmy G.
That's right, and Jimmy G. No, even the work leader, because Jimmy G, as far as I'm concerned, did nothing in the playoffs. He rode the coattails of his team and got to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff was riding the coattails of the team. But in the case of Nick Foles, he was balling leading up to the Super Bowl. He really did lead them to the Super Bowl. He didn't ride coattails.
So when Carson Wentz went down in the subsequent 2 or 3 week period afterwards, you were saying, because Philadelphia was the 1 seed, and you were saying Nick Foles can win a Super Bowl with them.
No.
So that's my point. That there's that group of 8 or 10 guys.
Okay.
There's 5 guys on the planet that no matter what, there's that group of 8 or 10 guys that people might sit there and go, he's not a franchise quarterback, or no, he needs, those guys, if you give them a good offense and a good play caller and a good offensive line and good pieces around them, then that guy can take you to a Super Bowl and be a reason that you can win a Super Bowl. You didn't think that about Jimmy G. You didn't think that about Nick Foles. You didn't think about Jared Goff.
But listen to your words. You said they can be a reason you go to the Super Bowl. Remember, Molly's here as an eyewitness, all right? Even though she can be Benedict Arnold at times, she'll stand up for me on this. She'll stand up on me in this regard. How many times was she and other people raving about Jimmy G? And I said, you got to go through 4 people before you even think about Jimmy G. You got to go to George Kittle, the defense, the Bolton, the boys, and Bruckner, the boys, Kyle Shanahan.
But he wasn't losing games.
I understand that. Right. I'm not talking about what I said. I'm talking about what I was saying. I was pointing to the fact that Jimmy G wasn't even a priority when you thought about the San Francisco 49ers. I said the same thing about Jared Goff. In the case of Nick Foles, even though we obviously had questions once Carson Wentz went down, at the end of the day, when we watched his actual performance, he was the reason the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and won it.
Stephen A.
I'm not saying the only one, but he was a huge reason. He was balling out.
Listen to me. Hold on. Let me say one thing. Stephen A., you are the godfather of debate. We know this, right? But come on, when Dan was saying that, there is some credence to that argument. I was kind of like, Dan's got this debate thing down, this sweet science. When he brought up all those names, it's a great point.
Time out. I didn't say it wasn't a great point, but I refute it because of what the point I just made. What you're thinking initially, fine, but ultimately I get to watch your work. If I'm looking at Jimmy Garoppolo and I'm looking at Jared Goff, they're not the reasons that those teams went to the Super Bowl.
But they didn't get in the way, Stephen A.
Correct.
Listen to me. When you look at Nick Foles, he was the reason he was balling. When we look at Baker Mayfield, he doesn't ball. He's all right.
But Stephen A.
All right, last night here.
He's not balling.
Molly, give me 30 seconds. Molly.
Yeah, do it.
First of all, his rookie year, he broke Peyton and Russell's rookie touchdown record. That quite literally is balling. His second year didn't play well, and we
about the last
all believe.
3 years,
no,
Dan.
okay. His second year didn't play well. Last year, 28 touchdowns, 9 picks, leads him to the playoffs and buries your Steelers.
Listen.
That's
we
balling.
raved about him. Raved about him last year because he went from 21 interceptions down to 8.
Okay.
And he did well. And he did decent.
Since week 2. Dan, I'll tell you what. You gave me pause. You made me think. We'll leave it there, guys. Up next, Stephen A. Major League Baseball, the MLBPA failed to reach a new labor agreement, resulting in the league's first lockout since 1990. Stephen A., how bad is this for baseball?
This is very, very bad. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we all know that Major League Baseball has diminished in the eyes of fans compared to the National Football League and the National Basketball Association. And so if you remember in 1994, the cancellation of the World Series, fans turned away from the sport. And it took Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa's single-season home run chase of Roger Maris's record to really resurrect the sport. Now, we all know the steroids era and all of that stuff came in the aftermath with Barry Bonds and beyond and all of that stuff. But in the end, 1998 was pivotal to resurrect the sport. People were disgusted. And this older fan base that has never gotten younger, really, for the most part, from my understanding, the bottom line is this. You don't need a lengthy lockout. I'll tell you that much. People accept it now because it ain't baseball season anyway. But once spring training is supposed to open and you're supposed to get the ball rolling and have some stuff happening, if you got a lockout going on there and games are missed, you're talking about a younger generation you're still struggling to ingratiate yourself with.
Absolutely.
And if this lasts for any long period of time, you're jeopardizing the health of the sport. So my advice to owners and baseball players union and stuff like that, this ain't the good old days where you had the fans in the palm of your hands. You almost messed things up in the mid-90s. You try that now with all the other options that people have, it'll cost you. You better reach a resolution.
Especially with the NBA getting younger and younger, and we're talking summertime competing that same season.
That's right.
All right, still ahead on First Take. The NFC East looked like a wrap just weeks ago, but then the Washington football team put their foot on the gas. Should Dallas be worried about Washington? We get into that. Plus, let's get it still ahead. Who would you rather have the rest of the season, Teflon Tom or that bad man? We answered that, but the great quarterback debates, they don't end there. Who would you rather build your franchise around right now? Is it Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert? Now, that's a debate you don't want to miss. But first, the Cowboys go to New Orleans. Tonight's the night, y'all, to face the Saints. Dallas will be without their head coach as Mike McCarthy entered the NFL's COVID-19 protocol Monday. Defensive coordinator Dan Quinn serves as the team's interim coach. The Cowboys have lost 3 of their last 4 after starting the season 6-1. They're getting healthier, though, on both sides of the ball. Wide receivers Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, both expected to return. And on defense, DeMarcus Lawrence expected to be back for the first time since week 1. On the other side, Taysom Hill will get the nod for the Saints in place of Trevor Siemian. In bad news, Saints decimated by injuries. Alvin Kamara out tonight. Don't look now, but the Washington football team nipping at the Cowboys' heels, just 2 games behind them.
I'm sorry.
Can I finish?
Is what he wanted.
Can I finish?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have to. I just need to admit to America, though, when I was reading that and I was like, 6-1. Now last year, I was like, damn it, this guy. The month of November and these Cowboys. Well, now it's December. Okay, Dan.
He controls it.
Should Dallas be worried about Washington in all seriousness?
I think, first of all, Dallas should be worried about themselves and their performance over the last month.
Right.
But, yeah, they should be worried about Washington, and they should be worried about Philadelphia as well. Molly, you just laid it out. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 games.
Yeah.
Now, Washington has won 3 in a row. Now, why has that happened for Washington, I think, is what Dallas should be paying attention to. Number 1, little Tony Romo. Taylor Heineke is balling. Okay, in his last 3 games, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He is playing good football and like clutch football. I think number 2, Curtis Samuel coming back and being healthy for this Washington offense helps. I would love to watch the Terry McLaurin versus Trayvon Diggs matchup. I'm such a Terry McLaurin fan. I'd actually think he would win that matchup. But I think more importantly, this defense is giving up less than 20 points per game in the last 5 weeks. This was a defense that I certainly thought was going to be one of the best in the NFL. In the first month of the season, they did not play that way. They are starting to play like the defense I thought they were going to be. Again, last 5 games, less than 20 points per game. They are playing very good football. I think offensively, they do a great job of owning the football. If you look at their last month, their time of possession per game is like plus 17, plus 18, plus 11, plus 23. That's unheard of in the NFL. So if we're just looking at the Washington football team and going, okay, offensively, they're owning the football. They're going on long, methodical drives. The quarterback is playing clutch. McLaurin's balling. Curtis Samuel's back. Logan Thomas is good. And then their defense is starting to play the way that we thought they were going to play. Heck yeah, the Cowboys have to pay attention to the Washington football team. And I'm not going to discount the Philadelphia Eagles, even though they played so poorly last week.
Hey, Dan, I appreciate that breakdown, man. Thank you so much. I mean, you make me smile, my brother. You make me smile. I'm just so happy that you just broke that down with your level of expertise. Because, first of all, my answer would be no, the Cowboys don't have anything to worry about. Because you damn well better not have something to worry about. Let me get this straight. I just want to make sure that I'm very, very clear about this on the Cowboys. No. So we got one team that's 1 game under 500, and the other team that's 2 games under 500, and you the Dallas Cowboys, a Super Bowl contender, Jerry's World, with the new, quarterback with the big contract, with all of those stars, circulating and sifting throughout the organization, and you have to worry about a team with no name. And the Philadelphia Eagles? Really? Y'all are making me laugh. This is hilarious. If the Washington football team and the Philadelphia Eagles are a threat to the Dallas Cowboys, all it does is validate what I've been saying all year. Just be patient. Just be patient. Don't worry about it. Just wait. They will find a way to mess it up because there's nothing else that can happen to them to prevent them from winning the NFC East other than them messing it up for themselves. I still got Dak Prescott. Michael Gallup's back. CeeDee Lamb will be back. Mm-hmm. Okay, Amari Cooper's going to come back tonight. All right. Ezekiel Elliott is getting rest. Tony Pollard has elevated his level of play. Micah Parsons, the rookie. Yep. This brother is a monster. This brother can ball. Okay? Worthy of being that first-round pick that the Cowboys spent on him. Trayvon Diggs. It ain't just Stephon Diggs. It's his brother. And by the way, both of them were Defensive Player of the Year candidates by week 7. Yeah. And here we are talking about the Dallas Cowboys, who were 7-1. And now you've lost 3 straight. And we worried about a team with a muffler as a quarterback with no name.
He called them young Tony Romo.
Tony Romo.
Let me say this to you.
He said a muffler, man.
But let me say this. I'm just having fun, Dan. I'm just having fun. I like Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke, if you watch it, the only reason I call you muffler is because your last name, my brother. I like Taylor Heineke, and I'm rooting for him. I like the kid. I like what he did at Tampa again in the postseason, and I also like what he's been doing over these last 3 games with the 6 touchdowns, just 1 interception. I like his moxie. I like his courage. He ain't scared. He embraces the challenge. And I think with Ron Rivera, who I'm very fond of, not just as a coach, but as a person, I think he's a beautiful human being. I think they're climbing. But there is no reason why they should be a threat to the Cowboys.
All right.
Cowboys got to play better. They got to play better. 3 out of the last 4 weeks, they have not played well.
Dan, we got to go to break. I just want to point out, these teams have not played over the next month. They play twice head-to-head. I need a yes or no answer. Does Dallas take both of those?
No.
Dallas versus Washington?
Yes.
You're going to lose one of them.
I agree with Stephen A. I think Dallas loses 1.
All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Still ahead, that bad man. Happy birthday to that bad man who's celebrating his 38th today. If he had one wish, it'd probably be to heal that toe injury he's been dealing with. Though the injury has not stopped him from being in the MVP conversation along with another bad man, Tom Brady. Birthday boy Aaron Rodgers tied with Josh Allen for the second shortest odds to win MVP behind Teflon Tom. The Bucs and Pack both leading their divisions with the playoffs right around the corner, and both teams looking to lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs. Well. It's been a minute. Hi, Damian Woody.
Hi, how are you?
2-time Super Bowl champ.
That's
Great
right.
to have you with us.
That's right.
Good to see you.
I can't even front today. I mean, I have to say that,
Go
have
ahead.
on the green suit, and I thought it was just some white shirt with a purple tie, but the shirt is actually green, light green with the white collar.
Yeah.
And the watch, he got a watch there. He even got a green band on. I'm not sure the wife approves of that. The green weather band.
Well, that's so you can work out.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
It's green too.
I'm just saying.
Details.
I must. And then he got a fresh cut. I have to say, a dead clock's right twice a day. This is the best that Damian Woody has ever looked.
You look very good.
I got you stumped. I got you stumped. You coming up in here with the black T-shirt on. You can't. Listen, when I come up on the set, you can't be rolling up in here with a black T-shirt on.
You do understand.
You know that, right?
You do understand I'm older than you, right?
That don't mean anything. That don't mean anything.
To be older than you.
No.
And the look as good as I look. My God. Jump back, want to hit myself. I'm just saying.
He gonna justify the black T-shirt because he going to the Mecca tonight.
Okay.
I'm going to Madison Square Garden.
I got to say one thing, and then I'm going to get us back on topic. The only reason I'm not mad about the egregious Hanes Fruit of the Loom T-shirt is because it keeps him warm. Then we don't have to make it freezing in the studio. So it works for me. So I like when he layers up. But for the fashion purposes, it's not the best.
Molly can say what she wants. She's just proud that I ain't had to get on her today because she ain't here with her pajamas on. So we good. Let's move on.
Let's carry on. Exactly. Dan, who would you rather have? Yeah, you did, Dan.
Silk pajamas.
Who
she
would
had a silk pajama.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Who would you rather have, Dan, down the stretch? Is it Aaron Rodgers or is it Tom Brady?
Yeah, I see you, Big Wood. Can't hide money, right? I'm going to say Tom Brady. My number one reason is I hit up Aaron like 3 weeks ago, and he ain't hit me back yet. So I got to go with Tom Brady because of that. I think, number one, give me the most winning quarterback in the history of the NFL. I'll take Tom Brady. Two, give me the quarterback that is playing right now that has the most fourth quarter comebacks. Tom Brady, 41-18. I think in the fourth quarter, since the start of last year, Tom Brady's got 17 tutties and 2 picks, 70% completion percentage. So I'll take the guy that has got the most wins, the most fourth quarter comebacks. He's been incredible in the fourth quarter. He's got the healthier offensive line. He's got more diverse offensive weapons. I'll take Tom Brady.
You know what? It's almost sacrilegious to go against Tom Brady because this man's a 7-time champion, the greatest winner in the history of football, at least as a player. But I would have to tell you that right now, if I had to pick right now, just in the moment that we're living in, I would go with Aaron Rodgers. I think if Tom Brady hadn't captured the Super Bowl title last year, maybe I would feel different, D. And Dan, I just do. I feel like it's not to say that he's any less motivated or he ain't gonna go for it or he's not the ultimate winner. I know it's Tom Brady we talk about. But I just think that when you consider the level of adversity Aaron Rodgers walked into this season with, not wanting to be there, making it very, very clear he wanted out, not being granted his wishes, giving that first press conference, getting blown out in week 1 by New Orleans, and then turning around and obviously deliberately deceiving the public. That's what the hell he did, and getting called on it and what have you. To see the way this team seems to be rallying around him and the way they've been playing. You've had guys out, but they're coming back. Now you've got a running attack, not just a running attack, but a dual running attack in Aaron Jones and Dillon. You've got Scantling along with Lazard to pair with Devontae Adams. Tunyon going down, I think, is a big hit to them. But you have such a bevy of weapons, and the offensive line is only expected to get better with Bakhtiari back. The defense isn't what it was early in the season. It seems to have improved as well. And they lost the NFC Championship game to Tom Brady. I don't see anybody but Tom Brady beating Green Bay. And I can't imagine that Aaron Rodgers is going to lose to Tom Brady in back-to-back years. I think when you're talking about the greatness of someone, the caliber of an Aaron Rodgers, that's a lot to expect. It's not to say that it can't happen because we're talking about Tom Brady here. But based on all of those elements combined with Tom Brady already capturing that coveted chip that he achieved in the aftermath of his departure from Bill Belichick in New England, right now, if you asked me to go and bet my money, and I shouldn't say bet my money because that's a different damage, but if you asked me to say, who do you think is going to pull it off? I'm going to say I think it's Aaron Rodgers.
Let me say this. Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is playing maybe the best football he's played in his entire career. Like, he's playing that well, considering everything that's going on around him. You know, injuries on the offensive line, injuries as far as weapons are concerned, all those things. His foot, the injury to his foot, he's playing phenomenal football. But when if we're talking about winning a championship, Stephen A., how in the world can I pick against a guy with the championship DNA of Tom Brady? We're talking about a guy in Tom Brady that at age 44 is on pace to throw for over 5,300 yards and 46 touchdowns. Think about that. Think about that, Molly.
Yeah, he's that dude.
At 44 years old, on pace to throw for over 5,300 yards and 46 touchdowns. That is remarkable. And Dan touched upon some numbers as well. When it comes down to it in the fourth quarter, there's no one more clutch than Tom Brady since last year. Yeah. I mean, that to me is what it all boils down to. We can talk about, we can get into stats. We can talk about what guys do first quarter to third quarter, whatever. But when it's fourth quarter, when it's 2 minutes, who do you want to have operating your offense?
You don't trust Rodgers in that scenario?
I marvel at Aaron Rodgers when I watch him. I don't think there's anyone in the history of the National Football League that is more gifted than Aaron Rodgers at throwing the football.
Yep.
He is absolutely phenomenal. He has just been stupendous. There's no question about that. But I'm talking about championship DNA. That's what I'm talking about here. Championship DNA.
Can I throw this at y'all?
A guy that literally went down to Tampa Bay and turned around that team and won a championship in 1 year. That's the guy I'm going to ride with.
Unbelievable.
Can I ask y'all a question?
Sure.
In 2004, how many Super Bowl rings did Tom Brady have?
2?
3.
3, yeah, 2 or 3, yeah.
3, right?
3 in a row, right?
When did he win his next one?
2016.
2014.
14.
Okay.
The great Tom Brady with the great Bill Belichick with 3 Super Bowl championships on his resume in 4 years suddenly went 10 years without. What I'm saying to y'all is it is possible. And I'm not saying that y'all are saying otherwise, but it is possible. Matter of fact, very, very plausible that Tom Brady could have gone to Tampa, got his chip, obviously pushing forward for another one, but somebody gets in the way of that. It's happened before now. And if anybody could pull it off, why would we not say it could be Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, listen, let me tell you something. Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay Packers could pull it off.
Yeah.
I think the primary reason that they could possibly pull it off is because of their defense. Their defense has been the difference between last year when they played Tampa in the NFC Championship game compared to this year. It's night and day. Their defense is really the difference between Green Bay last year to this year. But again, I'm not betting against the championship DNA of Tom Brady when he's the best in the fourth quarter, 2 minute. Like, that's stupid.
I don't think it's stupid.
Yeah.
Not when you talk about Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it's stupid.
I think what, like these are 2 of the best to ever play. They're 2 of the best right now playing. I would say this: if Tampa Bay doesn't win it and Brady doesn't get another Super Bowl, it's probably because their secondary and their lack of health and ability to make plays. And honestly, if Green Bay doesn't get it, I think it's their kicking game. They've missed way too many field goals for me to feel really confident
What the hell's going on with Mason Crosby?
Game.
What's going on
in a
with
huge
them?
game.
I don't know what's going on with
in a
them.
big moment. I know he's been proving it for 15 plus years, but it hasn't happened this year. Those would be the reasons individually that it doesn't happen. But it's Goldfish and Cheez-Its. Both of them are great.
Yeah, and guess what? This debate isn't going anywhere. Damian Woody, very good to see you.
Boy, you look
Clean.
good, boy.
I know.
Still ahead.
LSU's a great job. Notre Dame is galaxies better as a job. It's Stephen A. You are out of. It is Notre Dame. It's Notre Dame. Going to coach in Notre Dame is the Yankees. It's the Red Sox. It's the Dodgers. It's the Lakers. It's the Celtics. It's Madison Square Garden.
Well, Dan, you have to answer to somebody right now. I'd like to bring in a special guest if we could make that happen. There he is, my guy, Swagoo Marcus Spears. Marcus,
What's up,
did you
my people?
hear that? Hello. Notre Dame, it's the Yankees.
Lean in
You're
on this
out
one.
of your mind. Marcus, you go.
I really want to know the logic behind, because see, this is what rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay.
Galaxies ahead. I want to know why that's the case. Dan and I were born in 1983. We are 21 years into the 2000s. Yeah. 21. Yeah. We finna go to 2022 in a month. How could you sit here and say Notre Dame job is galaxies ahead of a school that has won 4 national championships in the 2000s and Notre Dame 0? How is that a galaxies ahead job?
You just answered the question, because you guys have won 4 national titles in that time frame, and Notre Dame's brand is still bigger.
Why are their brand bigger? Because of the name?
Yeah, because of the name, because their endowment, because of their national recognition, because they're on national TV every week, because it touches all 4 corners of recruitment, because the last 2 times you guys have played them, you've lost to them?
Question. If Notre Dame is a better job, why they coach Lee to go to LSU?
Oh, he was at Notre Dame for 12 years. They paid him $100 million to go. Maybe he wanted a different challenge.
So you just said endowment, so Notre Dame couldn't pay that? He's a really good coach. He's the winningest coach in Notre Dame history that left to go to LSU, and you on TV saying it's a better job.
It is. It's Notre Dame. I'm sure Notre Dame could have paid it, yes. Bro, I'm sure Notre Dame could have paid. He was at Notre Dame for 12 years. He was there for a long time. Sometimes coaches take different jobs.
So
sometimes they go somewhere else.
Anything to you?
What?
So is
Maybe
the better job a place where you is a better job a place where you can win a national championship, or is it just the name of the school?
Let me ask you this. I think it's both. I think it's both. Let me ask you this. Where do you think it's easier to go win a national championship, LSU or Notre Dame?
Oh, it's clearly easier to go to LSU because they have 4 in the 2000s.
Bro, you got to go through Nick, Jimbo, Lane, Kirby every single year.
Dan,
you got to go through them every single year.
You said that to Stephen A. Who did Notre Dame get blasted by when they got there? You still got to see them.
Get blasted
by. It don't matter if you see them in November. It don't matter if you see them in
get blasted by it. They were the team that played Alabama the best that year. And
Are you crazy?
That playoff.
They got blitzed by Alabama.
Hey, Dan, they lost 42-14
and they played them better than the Clemson team. What?
Dan, they lost to Alabama 49-14 in the championship. That's one. You in the semifinal game. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. If Brian Kelly was at LSU and he went to play Alabama or Georgia or Texas A&M, the schools that you mentioned, would he have a better chance with LSU football team, the coach that he is, or Notre Dame to win it?
I think on a one-time basis, yes. The difference is Notre Dame to see Georgia or to see A&M or to see Alabama, you're more than likely going to see them in the college football playoff. And when you're playing for a national title, you got to do it every week in the SEC, and that is a challenge. So yes, one time off, I would say LSU, but you got to do it every single week. That is a challenge.
Hey, Dan, just in life.
Give it up.
I got it, Marcus. I got it from here, Swaggo. I got it from here. Dan Orlovsky, what's the more rewarding thing to achieve? If you the tallest dude in the small man contest, or you the big man on the big time campus, what's the better thing to achieve, Dan Orlovsky?
I'd say the big man on the big man campus.
What I'm saying to you is this: Notre Dame is an independent. They got a national profile. You talking about history, but the bottom line is as we've discussed, the college landscape has changed dramatically. The television dollars that have poured in, not just to an individual school like Notre Dame, because they obviously were pioneers in that regard, but in terms of what's transpired, like the Big Ten being on Fox, that's a big deal. The SEC and the association with us and other things, that's a big deal. Okay, the Pac-12, the Big 12, that's a big deal. We talk about the Power 5 conferences. Those kind of things matter. If you are Brian Kelly and you have achieved what he achieved, you know why he left Notre Dame? He left Notre Dame because he said, listen, no, because the money, he was going to get the money anyway.
Stop,
the money
Dan.
anyway. He's going to get the money anyway.
Yes.
Here's why he left, Dan. He left, Dan, because he said, I want a legitimate shot to win a national title. And I can't do that at Notre Dame. I can get to the playoffs.
I disagree with that.
I can get to the playoffs, but to win a national title, I got to go to a program like LSU because I got a better shot at getting more of those elite prime athletes at LSU than I have of getting them to come to Notre Dame. That ain't a fact. That ain't a fact.
No, that's probably fair. I don't think it's a fact. I think it's fair. LSU has had better recruiting classes in the last 3 or 4 years. Somehow one team is like 11-1 and one team is 6-5 this year. Even though all those
Notre Dame has recruited pretty well.
But I'm
Notre Dame is recruited pretty well.
Ranking-wise,
it's a big-time program.
Ranking-wise, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Marcus, because you can speak to it more directly. Okay. Brian Kelly wins a national championship at Notre Dame, or Brian Kelly wins a national championship at LSU? Which one's more meaningful?
The one at Notre Dame, because they haven't won, Dan.
Okay. Okay. Exactly. Exactly.
But wait a minute,
What
Dan.
that got to do with it being a better job?
Dan, what I'm saying is this. It ain't happening at Notre Dame. It ain't happening. There's a shot for it to happen at LSU. There's a shot for it to happen at LSU. Like, for example, we're talking Cincinnati.
Let me ask this question.
I got a question. Marcus, let me ask you a question. That LSU team that won the Natty 2 years ago, do they win it without Joe Burrow?
No.
Okay.
What?
So Notre Dame is a special quarterback away from winning one.
What am I missing?
Quarterback away.
What am I missing here, bro? What am I missing here? What am I missing for a school that has won 4 national championships in the 2000 to one that hasn't won any? What am I missing? How is that not a better opportunity and a better job?
Do brands matter?
Dude, we talking about 4 national championships to 0.
Do brands matter?
Brands matter a great deal, Dan, but times have changed. You're willing to, the brand that Notre Dame was.
They're the number 5 team in America.
Listen, I understand.
Y'all are talking about Notre Dame like it's 2005.
Let me ask you a question. Once upon a time, particularly
they've been good.
The Lou Holtz of the world.
Football team, a good program.
Hold on, Swaggo. The Lou Holtz of the world and others who were coaching at Notre Dame. There was a time when Notre Dame, you talked Notre Dame all day, every day. Because they were college football. Even when they weren't winning national championships, they were college football, okay? This is when Florida State was relevant, when USC was relevant. Yeah. You still talked about Notre Dame. No, we talk about now, we talk about Alabama. We talk about Georgia. Hell, we talk about Oklahoma as much as we talk about Notre Dame.
Right.
Yes, we do.
Let me ask you this.
The times have changed. Times have changed is what I'm saying to you. And it's not Notre Dame's fault. They're still a big-time program. I'm rooting like hell for Marcus Freeman to get that job. I'm not casting any aspersions on them. I'm just saying the demographics have changed. The interest has changed. The bottom line. When you think about the Midwest, you think about Ohio State before you think about Notre Dame. You think about Wisconsin and Northwestern almost as much as you think about Notre Dame. Almost as much as you. I'm thinking about them. It's the absolute truth. Things have changed.
No, it's not.
Things have changed. And listen, when you talk about the brand that is Notre Dame, it's not what it used to be. That's all I'm saying. It's still big time, but it ain't what it used to be.
They're the number 5 team in America.
It's not what it used to be.
They've been a top 5 team for 5 years.
Listen, so is Michigan.
Let me ask you this.
Let me ask you this question.
Were you talking about before Nick Saban went to Alabama? Were you talking about Alabama?
No, not at all. Because they were losing. They had Shula as their coach. They were struggling to win 6 games a year.
Exactly. So it hasn't.
But Notre Dame was winning, and you still talk about Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State and all of that.
It's the number 1 job in America in Alabama. Or you disagree with that?
No, I think that's fair.
But what has brought them to that point? Relevancy, Dan.
Nick,
you are
national championships.
You are fighting something that was happening when me and you wasn't even born. That's what you fighting for right now. And it's crazy to me that you would sit here and say Notre Dame 5 in the country. What?
Agree to disagree.
Who's more
Marcus
relevant,
Spears. Thank you for visiting.
Notre Dame or LSU?
LSU.
You are out of your daggone mind.
We're going to leave it there. Who brought LSU their last championship with an MVP performance? That would be the 2 of the top quarterbacks taken in the 2020 draft will face off on Sunday. Joe Burrow and the Bengals take on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Both young quarterbacks have impressed. And if the playoffs started today, both would have their teams in the playoffs. They are both special. The second-year quarterbacks have had strong seasons. Herbert having the edge in overall passing numbers. Both the Chargers and Bengals look competitive in their divisions late in the season. Dan, I'll start with you. It's a tough one. If you were starting a franchise today, who would you build it around, Herbert or Burrow?
Joseph Burrow. This is relatively easy for me. I think the world of Justin Herbert. I think he's going to win an MVP in this league. But, and I've said this many times, ever since I was down on the field to watch that national championship game and do the megacast for ESPN, I walked away thinking Joe Burrow was different. He just had that indescribable it factor that you just watched and said his goal, like when you watch old school defenses, they took pleasure in beating people up offensively. I think Joe Burrow has that old school mindset as a quarterback of, I want to make you and your fan base feel pain on a weekly basis. Like, I want to be the guy that you all hate because I'm so good. And we're watching him. I did not think he was going to play this well this year coming off that ACL. I think he's playing point guard at a remarkable level for this offense. If you look at his ball distribution lately, it's like T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Boyd. And I just think he's got that Aaron Rodgers in him, that Tom Brady, that killer mindset, that killer instinct. I'm not saying Justin Herbert doesn't have it, but I think that there's guys that come into the NFL that have it at a rare, kind of very difficult to measure level, and I think Joe Burrow has that. Cincinnati's in the playoff race and going to probably have a chance to win their division, and Joe Burrow's, I believe, mindset, his kind of aura is the number one reason why to me.
Well, you know what? I respectfully disagree. I get what you're saying about Joe Burrow. I'm a fan. I think it was great that Cincinnati picked up this Ohio kid. I think that he's the embodiment of who they are, what they want to represent. And when you talk about a culture changer, I give Joe Burrow a lot of credit because I think when we look at Cincinnati, we look at them differently now because of him. And I give them a lot of credit. And give Zach Taylor a lot of credit for coaching this team the way that he has. Obviously, they had a rough year last year. Even I was hard on them, but I don't look at Cincinnati the way that I once did. Obviously, I was religiously on a point where Marvin Lewis needed to go. And I'm a black man that pushes for black coaches to have opportunities, Dan. But you can't have 16 years on the job and not win one single playoff game. That is just inexcusable stuff, and there's no way he should have kept his job. And I felt that way, even though I respect the hell out of him. I wasn't saying he should be a head coach in the NFL. I was just saying he should have remained in Cincinnati. But Zach Taylor obviously looks like he's on the verge of doing some things there. And I'm still going with Justin Herbert. He's taller. He's bigger. He's thrown for more yardage, more touchdowns, less interceptions. He's completed like over 66% of his passes, whereas Burrow's at 69%. But I just look at him and the wheels on him. I don't see anything that Joe Burrow has that Justin Herbert does not have. I don't view it that way. I don't look at him, and when we talk about the it factor that Joe Burrow brings to the table, Dan Orlovsky, you just sat here knowing football the way that you do. You just sat here with a serious, straight face and acknowledged Joe Burrow is different. And you obviously feel the way that you do, but you acknowledged that Justin Herbert's probably going to win a league MVP.
Yeah,
Dan, that ain't different. I think that's different.
No, I think he's a special player.
Everybody don't get to do that. What I'm saying is that I think they're both special. Everything you said about Joe Burrow, I can say about Justin Herbert. Not denying that you're right about Joe Burrow and his potential and capabilities. I think we could see the same from Justin Herbert. Right now, you're in the AFC. You keep forgetting. Let's not forget, he's got a rookie head coach. We can't ignore that. Not to say Joe Burrow didn't, but Zach Taylor's in the second year. Brandon Daly's in his first. But I'm just saying, we look at the turnover that's taking place with the Chargers franchise. We look at the L.A. market, not a real fan base yet, as far as I'm concerned. You playing road games on your own home turf, for crying out loud. Even SoFi is SoFly. That's a spectacular stadium. The best in the NFL right now. Jerry World's number 2. I'm just looking at all of those different dynamics, them trying to figure things out defensively. I'm looking at a couple of games, rough 2-week patch when they went against Baltimore and New England, back-to-back losses there. You're going up against two masterminds in John Harbaugh and, of course, Bill Belichick that's coaching against you as well. And your team just didn't appear ready to play a couple of those games. But I don't see anything in Joe Burrow and say to myself, I can't get that from Justin Herbert. He can make the throws. He can use his wheels. He's got height, superior height. He can see over that offensive and defensive line. He's got receivers to throw to, but he also doesn't have this. As much as Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, those boys are studs. Keep this in mind, Dan Orlovsky, because you know this better than me. Jamar Chase, he played college ball with that brother. Yeah. There's a chemistry and a cohesiveness that Joe Burrow has at his disposal that everybody doesn't have. Yeah. And yet we still sit here saying the things that we can say about Justin Herbert. I'm a Justin Herbert guy all day. Yeah. And I love Joe Burrow. I love Joe Burrow. And he's a Cincinnati Bengal. But I love that brother. He can really, really play. And oh, by the way, durability is a question mark as well because he got injured last year. That hasn't happened to Herbert yet.
I'd say two things. I think two things that I believe Burrow has that I don't believe Justin has or we haven't seen it. Number one, I think Joe is okay being disrespectful with the football. That touchdown pass he threw on your Steelers last week to T. Higgins was a disrespectful throw because where the corner was. And the second thing, and that would be my big, get my finger. The second thing would be the poise. I just don't see him panic. And that's that Steve Young, that Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady quality that when you get into that moment, Joe's got that just unique poise that he never panics.
I forgot what it was. But you said that about him several weeks ago. And then he went out and played an absolutely awful game, and you had to acknowledge you hadn't seen that. Yeah, you hadn't seen that from him before. I'm just saying these kind of things happen. When you're going up against the Steelers, there's a lot of people that'll be courageous enough to be disrespectful for the football against this aluminum curtain that is the Steelers defense right now. I mean, that's what the hell it is right now, right? And it's not really it's their offense and all that stuff. But I don't want to hear nothing about Steeler Nation, Steel City. It's aluminum. Aluminum.
Sunday is going to be a lot of fun. The Bengals are favored by 3. How about we revisit this after they play each other? Sound good, fellas?
Dan will be around one day.
Still ahead, Kyler. Association quick takes. Vamos, a wild ending between the Hornets and the Bucks, but it ultimately ended with a game winner from... There we go. Giannis. More impressive last night, LaMelo or Giannis? I know we just saw Melo shot.
Yes. Well, listen, it was Melo's shot, but Giannis was phenomenal, and it's just a pleasure to watch him play and what he's doing for the game of basketball. But I also want to give props to the whole Ball family. Melo, it's elevated Lonzo's play, and it's validated LeVar Ball and what he said about his 2 sons. They are legit, and let's give them some love.
Absolutely. All right, we'll keep it rolling here, guys, and we're going to go back to college now. So with Lincoln Riley at USC, the Sooners are on the market for a new head coach. Our own Adam Schefter tweeted Oklahoma has targeted Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury as one of the potential replacements. Kingsbury, who has 1 year left on his contract, denied the report, and yesterday his quarterback, a former Sooner, Kyler Murray, was asked about the situation.
I know Cliff. I don't really buy into it. Talked about what? No, I mean, if I'm him, I think he's got a pretty good job right now. So,
Stephen A., should the OU job intrigue Cliff Kingsbury?
Yes. Here's the reason why. This is the only reason I say this, Dan. You don't need to pop your eyes out of the head because you're not going to disagree with this argument. I'm not encouraging him to leave Arizona and the National Football League. What I'm saying is that next year will be the last year of his contract. He obviously doesn't want to go into the last year of his deal without a new deal. So what he's doing is vying for a new contract from Arizona. If they don't show that level of faith in him, he's thinking about his own future. And here's the reality. Ain't nobody knocking down his door. Cliff Kingsbury is doing a damn good job this year, and I give him a lot of credit. But it doesn't negate the position that I've religiously maintained. He didn't deserve this job to begin with. Now, that doesn't mean he hasn't done a good job since he's gotten the job. But he had 6 years at Texas Tech in college football. He had 4 losing seasons. He went to 3 bowl games. He lost 2. How the hell does that translate into you becoming an NFL head coach, leapfrogging and bypassing a whole bunch of people who were clearly more worthy? Whatever kind of relationship you presumably had with Kyler Murray has ended up being well. So I think he deserves a new contract with the Arizona Cardinals. But if they're reluctant to give it to him, and the only reason he got the job to begin with was because of his relationship with Kyler Murray, and that's where Kyler Murray is quarterbacking, we don't know if another NFL team is going to give Kingsbury the head coaching job. And on a collegiate level, what the hell did you do when you were there? So if you got a big-time program like Oklahoma that's interested in you, and Arizona doesn't want to make the investment in you, then you got to think about your own future and that fly crib you got that we saw during the NFL draft and be able to pay for stuff like that. That's why I say
you're talking leverage, essentially, which I get. One, I would be absolutely floored and shocked if Arizona did not pay him kind of whatever he wanted with the new deal. They built this organization around 2 people, Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler. I know you bring up the Kyler relationship. Cliff had the job before Kyler had declared that he was going to go play football over baseball. Whether he deserved the job or not, we've got to give him credit for the job he's done. I've seen a lot of coaches get a job that they deserved that fell flat on their face as well. So I would never even think about leaving Arizona for Oklahoma because of recruiting. And I think he's got a very good situation in Arizona right now. But leverage-wise, I get your point.
Neither would I. Yeah. And he deserves, and let me be very clear.
They might win a Super Bowl.
He deserves to get a new contract from that.
Okay, real quick, Cowboys Saints tonight. Who you got, Stephen A?
Listen, the Cowboys better win. Taysom Hill's quarterback.
I said not better. Who's winning, Stephen A?
Cowboys.
Dan?
Cowboys. Both tackles out for the Saints and Alvin Kamara. If those guys were playing, I would have taken the Saints.
Fair enough. Dan, excellent.
Did good today, Dan.
Excellent job
Did
by
good
you
today.
today. Stephen
Did good
A,
today.
you were solid.
Yeah,
Bye, guys.
whatever. We know.